The Mets and Cardinals back in action here at Shea Stadium. Game 2 of the 3-game series. The Mets looking to make it 3 consecutive wins and get to the 500 point. They'll send Steve Traxel to the mound, looking to improve on that 4-3 mark. Jeff Suppan is the mound opponent from St. Louis. We had some rain for the most part during the day here in the metropolitan area, but the skies have cleared up, a little bit of a breeze blowing. It'll be slightly cool tonight at Shea Stadium, but nonetheless a comfortable night for baseball. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Loughlin. Thanks for joining us. This is Mets baseball here on the MSG Network as the Mets get ready to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Mets have won 5 of their last 6, creeping a little closer to first place in the National League East. That is decidedly the good news. There is some unfortunate news, though, to report, and it involves Al Leiter, who today threw a side session. As you know, Al missed his last start, suffering after his previous start more than the usual soreness in his left shoulder. He's received a cortisone shot, but he did not report much improvement. Slight improvement, but not enough, and there is some question, in fact, it's rather doubtful, that he will get his next start here at Shea. We'll have more on that. We'll hear from Al a little later on. Ted and Fran, against that backdrop, though, there is some good news for the Mets, and that's the way they've been swinging the bat lately.
No question, Matty. And in fact, really the story for the Mets, coming off a 95-loss season, for any team, the immediate goal to regaining respectability is 500. And that's what the Mets have a chance to achieve tonight for the first time this year. And a big reason for that, Fran, is the guy I continue to think is the most important hitter in the Met lineup. That's Cliff Floyd.
Cliff Floyd is swinging a hot bat. He proved it again last night. He swung a hot bat in Houston when he hit a grand slam off Roy Oswalt. Well, last night, crucial spot. He hits that ball on the line over the first wall, off the second wall here at Shea Stadium. And he got the big blow in last night's ball game, driving in the winning run. Exciting. Not only Art Howe, but the fans here at Shea Stadium. This place was jumping last night, and so were the Mets after that base hit.
Well, he's been an added ingredient in the last week. He is an essential ingredient in that lineup, and 8 RBIs for Cliff Floyd in the 5 games since coming back to the lineup. Well, once again tonight, the Mets, tonight at Steve Traxel, tackle a St. Louis lineup that's scuffling a little bit to score runs right now, but still extremely potent and without question features the best third baseman in the game.
Without a doubt, not only an outstanding hitter, but also great defensively. But last night, look at the way he hit that ball off Tom Glavine. He was looking for a pitch to drive the other way. He drove the ball into right center field, and Albert Pujols coming around to score. Then in his next at-bat, he takes a pitch that's on the inner part of the plate. It's a line drive, picks up a base hit in the left field. He was 3 for 3 in last night's ball game. He was smoking the ball. How about defensively? What a play by Rolen. That's going to be the longest flip for a third baseman in the history of baseball.
And a Dreyfus look at Scott Rolen's numbers with a 3-hit game last night. 38 runs batted in, nearly 1 per game in the first quarter of the season. So tonight at Shea, Mets and Cardinals in Game 2. We'll come back and hear from Al Leiter on his possible return this weekend. That's next on MSG.
Stadium, Mets and Cardinals getting ready to play the middle game of their 3-game series. The Mets got some bad news this afternoon, or at least it looks that it will be bad news. It hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but it looks like Al Leiter will not make his next start. As you know, he missed his last start as he suffered from soreness in his left shoulder. Well, today was a test for Leiter. He went through a normal side session, throwing in the bullpen. Rick Peterson out there watching the left-hander go to work at 5:10. Al threw for about 10 minutes, testing that shoulder out, hoping that it would respond and that he would make his next start. But afterward, he had this to say about his 10-minute session.
I didn't feel 100%, but I don't know if I'll ever feel 100% at 38 with 2,400 or so innings. It felt better than yesterday when I threw, and it felt better than Tuesday or Monday. So there is progress. It didn't feel great. I'm not sure the decision that Art and Rick and Duke and whoever are going to make, it felt better. Didn't feel great.
Again, no official word. Jim Duquette and Art Howe have not discussed it, but if you listen to Al's words and you realize he's got the shoulder problems, it does appear that he will not start here on Saturday against Colorado. Steve Traxel will start tonight against the St. Louis Cardinals. It'll be Traxel against Jeff Suppan as the Mets look to make it 3 straight. Stay with us. The first pitch is next.
What a great look there. That's the way it was when Seaver pitched against Gibson. Those are the hats they wore. And some years later, here are some youngsters tonight to watch Steve Traxel on the mound for the Mets.
And you see Traxel's Rico numbers, 50 innings pitched, so struck out 23, he's walked 18. When he pitches from the windup, he works rapidly. When he pitches from the stretch, he takes a little bit more time.
And tonight, it is Tony Womack leading off for the Cardinals. Womack, who, there's Ty Wigginton. We're seeing him at second base. Of course, the position he's played quite a bit.
When he was a youngster, he was a catcher. Then in high school, he moved to second base, and the Mets moved him to third, but Todd Zeal's playing third tonight. It's funny you're mentioning Wigginton. I saw Tony La Russa down on the field prior to the game just before the Cardinals went out for DP, and he was watching Ty Wigginton and Kaz Matsui turn a double play.
2-2 now to Womack.
It's funny how a little switch in the lineup will make you focus on that. But here's that splitter. Womack swings right over the top. In fact, Womack was standing with Tony La Russa watching those guys turn a DP.
And Womack serves that one out over Matsui for a base hit. And now a good base stealer on board to start the game for the Cardinals. So Womack, new second baseman here, followed by Renteria with a good mark against Traxel. Then that middle of the order, dangerous Pujols, Rolen, Edmonds, and Sanders. Marlon Anderson, he's the utility guy this year for Tony La Russa, plays left field tonight. Mike Matheny behind the plate. So Renteria to bat, and immediately the Mets will have to pay attention because Womack has given the Cardinals a nice element. He is perfect so far. He has stolen 10 bases in 10 tries.
Talking about Wigginton at second base, it should be easier because he went from third to second. He's further away from the batted ball. He knows all the moves, so it's not going to be one of these things that he has to do by the numbers. Albert Pujols doesn't need numbers either. He swings on deck.
Renteria with that mark you saw against Traxel, that's a 33 lifetime at bat, so pretty good sampling, 14 hits.
One thing Traxel does when a runner's on first base, mentioned how he takes a little bit more time, but he is cognizant of the runner. 32 stolen bases this season by the Redbirds, most in the National League. But Steve Traxel gives the catcher an opportunity because he keeps the runner close.
Not going, and Renteria finds the hole. So that's the one thing that as a starting pitcher you can't afford to have happen against this lineup. First two guys get on, the first baseman.
And you have to rely on your defense, and there it is for the Mets. Piazza, Wigginton, Matsui, and Zeal in the infield. Floyd, McEwing, Valent in the outfield. Phillips behind the plate. And Ty Wigginton at second base tonight. Todd Zeal playing third. Played some minor league baseball at second base, but it's got to be easier, although, you know, it's still somewhat of an adjustment now in the major leagues. He finds himself active, but he's further away from home plate.
Well, Met fans have got accustomed to that with Alfonso here. Watch him bounce back and forth between those two spots.
Well, Alfonso that 1 year had just an unbelievable season all around at second base.
So here's Pujols. And he hits what might be a double. Oh, no, Matsui stayed back on it, so no chance. Boy, if Matsui charges that ball, that's got to be a double play.
Yeah, they tell the infielder when the ball is hit, unless it's really a bullet at you, charge it. But right there's an example of a good shortstop allowing the ball to play him, but he still got the force at second base. They tell the infielder, you played the ball. In that case, he was back on his heels because it was almost like he misjudged the hop. So they get the force at second base, and now runners on first and third for Scott Rolen.
You're a pitcher. You get Albert Pujols to hit that ball.
Yeah.
In your mind, that better be 2 outs. And that's a gift given away to St. Louis. Now, Traxel faces Rolen. First and third, 1 out. Ball strike.
In his first at bat last night, Scott Rolen went up there with a pretty good idea. That's why he's batting .345. He took a pitch that Tom Glavine threw to him down and away and hit it to right center field for a double.
This is interesting. Of course, Rolen right now is scorching hot, 38 RBIs. History, Traxel's handled him fairly well. So let's see which wins the battle here.
Rolen was hammering that baseball batting practice. He's been hammering the ball all season since the get-go.
Foul. I'll tell you what, watching batting practice with this team, as you see Rolen's numbers, of course he had that scorching start in terms of the long ball. Still hitting over 300 the last few weeks. 38 RBIs, tied for first in the major leagues. When you watch Rolen and Pujols, and they hit the same group of batting practice, that is something. The two guys, like we talked about last night, Fran, both spread stances. Neither one strides into the ball.
The ball was exploding off their bats. Right now they need a double play. The best way to get it is to split.
Fastball away. Rolen protects. Edmonds on deck.
When you're having a good year, the word protect is very important, because if a pitcher makes a nasty pitch on you and you can foul it off, get him to throw you another pitch, a more hittable pitch. That's why protecting the plate is so important.
Traxel would love find some way to strike out Rolen. That's not easy, and Traxel's strikeout totals are down so far this year. Curveball. That hung, but Rolen fouled it away.
Well, you know, we talked about that double play ball that Steve Traxel would like to get with Scott Rolen hitting. And that double play ball, if you throw the real good splitter and you get a guy like Rolen to chase it, good chance he'll hit it on the ground.
Cardinals got two off Glavine in the first last night and come right out threatening to score the first tonight. Split grip. Oh, just a tip by Rolen to stay alive.
In and out of the glove. No way you can practice this. But there are more foul tips caught because of the new glove with the, it's no longer new, it's about 50 years old, with the break in the glove similar to a first baseman's glove, as opposed to that glove where you needed the bare hand to trap the ball. Today it's a lot easier to catch those foul tips.
So remember, you know, Jason Phillips the last year plus hasn't done a lot of catching.
No.
He's done some, but not a lot.
I think after a while he's going to say, geez, you know, I'd like to be at first base. Yeah.
Got him. Boy, Traxel came right back with the split, and he does get the needed strikeout.
And he gets it with the splitter. Watch this. This is the good one when it goes down out of the strike zone. As you're swinging at this pitch, you're saying, oh, please don't let me do this. You're talking about a guy who's hitting the ball very well this year, Scott Rolen. That's a huge strikeout in the first inning for Steve Traxel.
But the depth of this lineup is such that you can't breathe deeply and easily yet. They've got about 4 or 5 guys in the middle here that can really hurt you.
You mentioned 2 hitters with a spread out stance. The guy with that spread out more than anybody might be Jim Edmonds.
Right, from the left side. Here he is. 2 out.
Well, you got a base open. I know it's the first inning. You got a left-hander facing a right-hander. Jim Edmonds has some of the family here today.
Although they're from California, I wonder if we just friends. But you're right, in this situation, Reggie Sanders, a right-hand batter, is on deck.
And a guy that's been known to strike out. So does Jim Edmonds, surprisingly.
But Edmonds has had great extra base production so far this year. See, Traxel's shrewd. Well, he's pitching careful. 2-0.
He's a very intelligent pitcher. One thing the Mets do have is some intelligent pitchers on their staff. Look at that extra base percentage. That's not bad.
61% of his hits, that's what that means, are for extra bases this year.
Where's the splitter when you need it? He had it for Scott Rolen. Does he throw it here?
Got him. He got it up high, and Edmonds pops it up into shallow right center, giving Wigginton his first second base try, and Traxel does a terrific job pitching out of trouble. Use the SAP function on your remote or your TV, and you can escuche a los Mets en español. Juan Alicea and Billy Rolen. Juan will critique my Spanish there to let me know if that was accurate. I'm learning. Here's the Met lineup tonight. It's Valent, Matsui, Floyd, Piazza up front just as last time. But Todd Zeal gets in there with his numbers against Supan. Jason Phillips again behind the plate. Wigginton slides over to second, and with Mike Cameron's hand bothering him, continued to bother him, Joe McEwing moves out to center field tonight. That's a story the Mets hope does not linger. Mike Cameron, as Valent takes a strike. We mentioned last night, Cameron's hand is bothering him. There's Supan's numbers.
And the Rico numbers for Jeff Supan. You see the numbers, 23 strikeouts in 42 innings.
Fastball in 1-1 to Valent.
90-mile-per-hour fastball. You see Eric Valent's numbers. You know, you mentioned Ted, Mike Cameron. One thing he has to be careful about is, you know, if you play with that bad hand and you're ineffective, I know he doesn't want anybody to know he has the bad hand, but, you know, when people start questioning your bat, you want them to know what's going on.
Well, that's the point. Mike's been in a tough slump, and that's the reason his hand is still barking. And here's a guy that Mike Cameron's been playing every day, his career, his track record. So you know it must be bugging him to not be in there tonight.
And it's tough, I'm sure, on Art Howe and the pitching staff to see Mike Cameron's glove in the dugout. But he's going to get that hand better, because you know what? You go long enough with it and you're ineffective swinging the bat, then they start to say, well, you know, he's not swinging the bat well. They forget to say the hand has been bothering.
Valent fouls it back. So Eric Valent continuing in the leadoff spot. Actually continuing to bat second.
Well, we talked about the feel-good story out of spring training with Eric Valent. It's no longer a feel-good story. It's, hey, you know what? This guy can play, and it's going to be interesting to see just how high he goes.
And Valent getting a lot of off-speed stuff right now. Pops this one up into shallow center, caught by Edmonds.
Well, defensively behind Supan for the Cardinals, Pujols, Womack, Renteria, and Scott Rolen in the infield. Anderson, Edmonds, and Sanders left to right in the outfield. Matheny behind the plate, Supan on the mound. And Scott Rolen can play third base with anybody that's ever played the game. He made a play last night at third base and did the shuffle pass to the second baseman for a force play. How many times do you see a third baseman shuffle a ball from almost his position to second base on the ground? He was laying on the ground, got up and shuffled the ball, got the out. Of course, keep in mind, Jason Phillips is going from first to second. And we say that with respect to Jason.
Matsui takes a strike.
One thing Jason has in his favor now, instead of playing first base when he's behind the plate, what do they say about catches? Runs like a catcher.
Not supposed to run. Kaz Matsui, who of course preceded Floyd last night, the game-tying hit. One to Rolen, and that's the Gold Glove third baseman, best going. And even against the speed of Matsui, makes the play.
Scott Rolen ranging to his right, our Panasonic digital replay, and the off-balance throw. You're talking about a guy who's 6'5" and maybe about 235 pounds. Not that guy, but Scott Rolen.
Now Cliff Floyd with 2 outs, nobody on him. What Cliff did last night with his game-winning hit was give the Mets their second straight victory in a game which they trailed in the 9th inning. Now, why that's significant is last year the Mets won exactly 0 games when they were trailing in the 9th inning.
Jason Isringhausen, one of the better relief pitchers in the National League, took the loss in last night's game. How about batting practice for Cliff Floyd today? He was crushing the ball. He hit some balls in the green seats.
Here's what Cliff's hit did last night again. Only the 4th time in history of the team that they've won back-to-back games like that. The first time ever in the history of the Mets when they've won back-to-back last-out victories. And it's, boy, those are the kind of wins that I think, Fran, you played for 10 years. They build spirit in a team faster than anything.
Oh, absolutely. You can see it. You know, I know it's still early, but you can see a difference in this ball club, and you can see a difference with the fans here at Shea Stadium. Last night, in the 9th inning, they were on their feet, and the Mets gave them something to poke for. As Cliff won the game, you saw Mike Piazza on deck. Well, he was there last night, and Tony La Russa said, not him.
Popped up by Floyd. Now, this may be playable. Coming near the Cardinal dugout is Rolen. Just enough room. So, Supan puts the Mets away 1-2-3 in the first. Oh, it's great to see. 81 years young. Red Shanedean's the lifelong Cardinal. Oh, I know he played for the Braves for many years, but you think of a lifelong Cardinal.
He'll be in Kiner's corner tomorrow. Ralph Kiner's here at the stadium tonight signing his book.
So that's what that line was all about.
Absolutely. The place is packed.
Reggie Sanders will start the Cardinals second. Sanders for the year, and we talked a little bit last night about the Reggie Sanders saga that he's played 5 straight years on one-year deals for 5 different clubs: San Diego, Atlanta, Arizona, San Francisco, Pittsburgh. The last 5 years on one-year deals, and he finally got a 2-year deal this year in St. Louis.
What happens? He's fooled with that pitch. But he's a good player. We talked about one of his problems last night is he gets hurt a lot. I think teams now are certainly taking a closer look before they sign free agents.
Yeah. Reggie's the last few years has stayed healthy, and think about this, he was the right fielder on back-to-back World Series teams, the World Championship Diamondbacks in 01 and then the Giants in 02. But he's a victim of arbitration today. Nobody wants to go to arbitration, pay off those numbers, as Piazza holds first on the throw from Matsui. So one down here in the Cardinals second as we join Matt Lockman.
All right, Ted, as you mentioned earlier, Ty Wigginton starting at second base, first time since September of 2002. I asked him if there's a big difference moving from third to second.
Really nothing, just really seeing the ball come off that bat. You know, obviously, I know when I played second, I'll stand up a little higher in my get ready position. That way I can get a bigger step and a bigger jump to each my right and my left. You know, the good thing is we got a guy like Traxel out there on the mound, and he's very consistent at hitting his spots. And when you get a pitcher who can hit his spots, you can really get a good jump on the ball. You know, actually moving before that hitter even really hits that ball. As soon as he starts to swing, you can get a good read in where the guy's going to hit it.
You got to be versatile to play in this game, and Ty Wigginton showing his versatility as Art Howe trying to get a little more offense into the lineup tonight. Ted and Fran, back to you.
Wigginton being shuffled. Art Howe feeling much better, riding a nice streak here, and trying to keep everybody guessing.
He's done a good job keeping a lot of people guessing. He's been moving players around. And, you know, again, tonight we talked about Ty Wigginton at second base. Saw Matt Galante out at second base working with him before the game.
Matheny fouls back the fastball.
Matt has done a real good job because he's worked with a lot of different infielders,
Yes,
moving them from here to there. He's worked with Mike Piazza. He's worked with Jose Reyes at second base. Matsui at shortstop. He's worked with Todd Zeal over at third base. I don't want to see Matt behind that plate, though.
You know what? Let's take a look at our Hyundai keys to the game tonight. Of course, Traxel got a big ground ball from Pujols in the first inning. Got to lock up those strong right-hand bats.
Steve Traxel has good stuff. He has a good fastball, and he complements the fastball with an over-the-top curveball. When it's on, it's at 12 to 6, and he also has the splitter, which I guess would be his out pitch. And he has some great concentration and tremendous intensity out there.
Strike on the outside, 2-2. I'd like to get Matheny, of course, right here. This spot. Yeah, pitcher's pitch there. And have the pitcher leading off the next one. Into the hole now. Matsui should have time here. And the low throw is dropped. Piazza did not cleanly handle that throw. And Matheny is safe. Might stretch, but you'll see this on the replay. He tried to trap the ball against the ground.
And a long throw from Matsui, and Mike had got out there. He stretched in a hurry, but was unable to grab this ball. It was not in the dirt. It didn't look like it was in the dirt from our camera angle. Take another look.
I mean, that stretch is amazing. I mean, he doesn't handle the ball cleanly, but the stretch is astounding.
I'll tell you what,
that he could do that.
It's painful to look, especially for a catcher. You know, you build up those legs, you have tight hamstrings, and then to stretch like that. Jason Phillips did it too. They gave an error to Matsui on that ball.
So Suppan will bat here. And the error on Matsui. The other interesting, Suppan is 0 for 11 this year. The other interesting part of that play is something Matt Galani has been quietly working on 4 games, is Kaz Matsui backhanding balls. They worked on it quite a bit on the road last week, I noticed. And I think that's the first time I can remember Matsui backhanding a ball in a game.
He likes to try, you know how they tell you, especially in this country, well, the way to do it, the traditional way to do it, get your body in front of it. It's easier to backhand it. And Matt Galante told me it took him a while as a coach and a manager to accept the Latin American version of the middle infielder. But he thinks it's better. Here, we're going to take a look at it again. Backhand, because you set that back foot. From there, get the back foot down. It's a lot easier than getting your body in front of it. He throws this ball and it's low. You know what? I'm so sure it's an error on Matsui.
Not really. That's a ball that, you know, again, you just have to factor in Mike has not played very much first base, but that's a ball that first baseman would be expected to play.
That stretch reminds me of Harmon Killebrew in the 60s when he made a stretch in the All-Star game at the Astrodome and popped his hamstring without the rest of the year.
Chopped to Seal. That does take care of the inning. And we'll go to the bottom of the second. It's Shea with no score. Mike Piazza will lead off the bottom of the second in a scoreless game. Piazza, Zeal, and Phillips to face Jeff Suppan. Mike, I mean, it's almost bizarre to see what's happened in the last week, where he has now become an everyday first baseman. This is the 6th time in the last 7 games that Mike has started first.
Last Friday, Art Howe had a conversation with Mike. They discussed it. He said he's going to catch him maybe twice a week now. And he'll play first base. One good thing is he'll keep that bat healthy and strong and keep him in the lineup. But I think after a period of time, when you're down there, whether it's Mike Piazza or any other catcher, you realize just how grueling bending up and down behind the plate really is.
I talked to Mike tonight. He said, you know, when Art talked to him about it, Mike said, you know, you just play me. You make the call, play me, just as long as I'm in the lineup. But he acknowledged that Sunday's game was a game that normally he would not have played, because he can play first base, he's in the game, and strong enough to hit Dotel out in the 9th inning.
You know, I like the idea that, you know, as a former catcher, that he wanted to get behind the plate. You know, he went pretty much kicking and screaming down to first base, but you know, Johnny Bench said he wanted to go down to first base or third base. Here's that. Oh, he just missed that ball.
That's the one Mike would love to have a rip at that one. Again.
Another look. Look at this. Right there. Boy, that's a perfect swing. Perfect swing. Right around that post. Open the hips. Head down. You know what? Sometimes he just missed it.
Well, he got one almost in a similar spot and drove it to right. So the Mets have their first hit.
Take a look at this swing again. You saw that swing from the side. Look at this. Oh, head down. Hit the ball the other way. Our Panasonic digital replay. Look at this. Right around the post. No lunging. One of the, if not the greatest hitting catcher. One of the top 1.5. No doubt about it.
So Zeal, the batter. And in case you missed last night's announcement, the Mets are going to honor Piazza on Friday, June 18th, before a game here at Shea against the Tigers. Friday, June 18th, and Piazza will be honored for his home run record. Gary Carter, Berra, Carlton Fisk, all scheduled to be on hand.
Carlton Fisk, a Hall of Famer who I think was underrated. He could do it all. He was a complete cat. There's another guy that was underrated, Gary Carter. the kid. Nobody took a curtain call like Gary Carter or Keith Hernandez. They owned that curtain call here at Shea.
How about that picture? Carter, Grody, and Shinjo. That didn't quite work for me. What's Shinjo doing in there? 1-2 to.
Gary's not at the game tonight, but he'll be here when they honor Mike Piazza. In fact, as you look, saw Jason Phillips. Mike will be honored here at Shea, as Ted mentioned. I remember Gary Carter, when he wasn't getting the votes to get him into the Hall of Fame, everybody was surprised, and he thought it might be because the writers were comparing his stats with Mike Piazza's. And Piazza has unbelievable stats for a catcher. Batting average, RBIs, home runs. Talking to Art Howe the other day about Carlton Fisk, how hard he worked. Because Art's last year, he was with the same team with Carlton Fisk. He said it was unbelievable after a game how much he would do that weightlifting.
Ooh, that one runs inside to Zeal. Oh, it's 2-2.
And that fastball to Todd Zeal hangs tough, but he gets out of the way. By the way, Carlton Fisk did some catching for Tony La Russa. There's that. You know what that is? Visualizing. They started a program in Kansas City years ago.
Popped up by Zeal. Oh, Edmonds has this one carried out nicely into center field, but Piazza back to first. And a reminder that tonight's telecast of Mets baseball on MSG is available right now in high definition only on cable. It features widescreen images up to 5 times sharper than regular TV and Dolby Digital sound. MSG Network available in high def only on cable.
From Cablevision. Digital cable service. Hit the ball over that fence right there. You're in the bullpen. That's where Jason Phillips would like to be. You know, it's amazing, and looking at last night's ball game, Kaz Matsui, broken bat, base hit to right field, and it was a huge hit. In L.A., Jason Phillips hit a bullet at Gagne and ended up out at first base. You know what you forget easily is the line drive at somebody as opposed to the base hit with the broken bat.
Right. Well, Phillips doesn't forget it. That's the problem. Hitter doesn't forget it.
Right. But it doesn't help as long as the manager forgets it.
Right field. That's a hit. Sanders. Well, it's exactly what was not on the mind of the Cardinals last night on the game-winning hit. Sanders came up firing there. He's thinking about taking a shot at Piazza.
You call this a high release out when this ball is thrown. Look at his good hitting. First Piazza, now Jason Phillips. And Reggie Sanders said, I'm going to throw this ball high. And he did.
So Ty Wigginton, who had the big start last week in Arizona and has been scuffling since. He's hitless in his last 18 at-bats.
Tying in with Pat Borders for the longest current hitless streak by any active non-pitcher.
And on the first one goes to short, and the Cardinals turn 2. So just like that, the Mets threat is erased. On the double play ball, we go to the third with no score.
Play the game of baseball the Major League way at the Mets Baseball Academy, presented by Xerox. For more information, log on to Mets.com/Baseball Academy or call 888-318-METS. Look at that. They were at the Baseball Academy. Can't beat it.
Now Womack trying to bunt his way on, and he's going to get there because Piazza broke for the ball, and nobody was at first base. Well, that is smart baseball from Tony Womack. Taking advantage of some inexperience on the right side of the infield for the Mets.
Well, you can see where Ty Wigginton was playing. There's no way he's going to beat Womack to first base, so it's up to either Mike Piazza or Steve Traxel. Now, once Mike sees Steve Traxel break for the ball, you got to get to first base. But Mike was coming in for that ball. No way Wigginton's going to beat Womack from his location where he was playing closer to second base.
It's the 5th bunt hit for Womack this year, and he's on to lead off an inning for the 2nd straight time. Brings up Renteria.
I'm sure the dugout will now help Wigginton position himself for certain hitters like a Womack. This guy Renteria last year in the top 5 in batting in the National League at about 330. Marlins, when they traded him, you have to justify it. They said they didn't like his work ethic.
Yeah, I'm sensing it was really more of it.
I was going to say work ethic on this side, 330 over here, good defensive shortstop, great arm.
That's one thing, although they did hold on. Florida held on to Renteria 1 year after they won the championship, and that's one thing I think you got to give the owner their credit for now, is that they won a world championship and they tried to keep. Liner, 1, 2. Well, it's not the ground ball way, but Traxel will take double play.
Reaction position. Todd Seals played it for many years. He started it with the Cardinals, and he reacts in a easy fashion. Double play. Line drive to Zeal, flip to first. Got him. Another look as Renteria hits the ball hard. It's a hang with him.
So 2 down, and Pujols will bat. So Womack's been on twice and has not yet attempted to steal. That's been a help for the Mets. Well, anyway, I was saying, just to finish that point, you give Florida credit because at least they kept the bulk of their team together for this year.
They wanted to keep Rodriguez. They were hoping he would not sign with anybody and re-sign with them. I believe it was May 1st.
So here's the deal as you look at Pujols take 1 ball, 1 strike, and our Mercedes-Benz League Leaders brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Visit your Tri-State Mercedes-Benz dealer today.
Some pretty good company right there for Albert Pujols, and he's as good as any of them swinging that bat.
Well, this is the guy. If you're a baseball fan, he's 24 years old. What he's done already, this is the guy you figure will follow the next wave behind him. The Bonzes and Sosas are closer to the end than the beginning, and then Alex Rodriguez and his group, and then Pujols is the next wave. He's the guy to watch. 3-2.
Pujols grew up in Kansas City, and I'll bet that breaks the heart of the Royals when they see the Royal fans, when they see somebody that grew up in Kansas City doing so well for the Redbirds in St. Louis. He was a big surprise to the Cardinals organization.
3-2. Oh, Pujols starting to walk to first, and Brian Runge rung him.
Good pitch. Take a look at this location. It's all about location.
Pujols does not agree. So we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Mets trying to break through here against Jeff Suppan. Beat them last year. The only time the Mets saw him, Suppan was pitching for Pittsburgh. And he shut the Mets down in a 6-inning game and beat them. Suppan then finished the year in Boston. It was a stretch drive acquisition by the Red Sox. Facing McEwing to start. Oh, good curveball. So quickly 2 strikes.
You see Mike Piazza talking to Steve Traxel and Magnolante walking over to talk to them about the bunt play. I'm sure he'll tell Steve Traxel, if you can get it, Mike's got to get back to first. You can't expect Wigginton to go from where he's playing to first base.
Right, exactly. And that's the problem again for Piazza. This is just reality. Mike has not had a lot of time at first base and experience there, and first base is not the. A lot of people view it, I think, as a brain dead position. It's hardly.
And the thing is, he's doing it by the, as Joe McEwing strikes out right there, he's doing it by the numbers, which is the tough way to do it. And tonight's contestant in the Amtrak Acela home run inning is Richard Lorubio from Brooklyn, New York. If the Mets hit a home run this inning, Richard wins tickets to an upcoming Mets game. If the home run goes over the Acela sign, in right field, on the right field fence, right there. Here it is, right here on the right field fence. The Acela sign. Richard wins a trip for 2 with the Acela anywhere on the East Coast. Amtrak, your trip starts here.
So for Richard, the bad news is that Steve Traxel's the batter, but then again, the good news is that Traxel's got 2 homers in his career. He's hit 300 in his limited at-bats this year.
Ask any pitcher that goes to the plate with the bat in his hand, he will tell you he'd rather see the fastball than the breaking ball. So would the everyday player. But that breaking ball, just throw 3 of them. And if they hit you, then you got to adjust.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
See Mike Matheny wants it
Fastball away.
outside.
Fastball away, and he got the call. So back-to-back strikeouts for Suppan to start the inning.
Is this a strike? Take a look.
Well, Steve Traxel will just call it for me too.
Well, from there it was over the plate, but it was low.
You notice the umpire tonight, if you're a serious baseball fan, is retro. The umpire tonight is Brian Runge. His father, Paul Runge, was a long time. That's sliced to left, and Valent's got a hit. And Valent's going to wind up with 2 on this. It's a little chance here for the Mets. 2-out double by Eric Valent.
Well, Eric Valent, every time he gets an opportunity, he does something. And that's going to keep him in the lineup. We talked about his collegiate statistics, and boy, oh boy, they're impressive. And he did it in Pac-10 baseball, which is good baseball. So if he gets enough exposure, he might start really turning it on, and the Mets might have found themselves a real good player the way they wanted to, the Rule 5 draft.
So a chance for Kaz Matsui with 2 outs. Matsui thrown out on a tapper by the third baseman Rolen, first inning. So you see how Brian Runge kneels there behind home plate. That is just, I mean, he's a carbon copy of his father. And he shoots that arm out, his right arm shoots out parallel, just like his father did.
See the umpires in tonight's game, and Brian Runge's dad, I played Double-A when he was breaking in as an umpire. He played minor league baseball, Rusty Staub, with the Astros.
Paul Runge did.
Yeah, and his grandfather, Brian Runge's granddad, was a longtime American League umpire.
So we have 2 second-generation National League umps. Hunter Wendelstedt, son of Harry, not very popular with Yankee fans right now after he apparently blew a call badly last night in the 9th inning. The Yankees Anaheim game. But they're both second-generation National League umps. 3-0 here to Matsui with Cliff Floyd on deck.
3-0, Kaz Matsui should get a beautiful pitch to swing at. It's 3-0. Let's find out. I mean, you give him the hit sign, because here comes the fastball, a 4-seamer, and he said, here, hit it. He's going to do it again because he's got Cliff Floyd standing there on deck. But that 3-0 pitch, I know in baseball, if you knew everybody was swinging 3-0 and you're a pitcher, you're not going to be as comfortable throwing that ball over the plate. You're going to miss a lot. And they say, well, what if it's a ball? If it's a ball, take it. I'd be amazed.
So you obviously you promote this because you felt comfortable hitting 3-0.
I never got it. I wanted to get it.
I mean, I've known countless hitters who've told me they hated hitting 3-0. They didn't feel good swinging.
They've been conditioned to the fact, well, you know, you're supposed to take it.
And they think, and obviously if you're swinging 3-0, the expectation is you're going to hit it out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
That's what everybody thinks. If you swing 3-0, you're not swinging to hit the ball the other way. You're swinging to hit it 8 miles.
Well, that's high expectations.
Right.
And they got to get that off the table. But you can make a pitcher nervous. Here comes that heater again. It's a bad ball, obviously.
3-2. A little sinker there, and that's what Suppan shows Matsui.
See, he's in the glove. He comes out with that fastball, and as Ted mentioned, it sinks right out of the strike zone.
So now 3-2 with Valent at second. Same pitch. Rolled to second. Whoa, Womack just got him.
It looked like Matsui slowed for just a moment.
No score after 3. Gorgeous sunset. Looking west or towards Jersey. No score here as we go to the 4th, and Rolen will lead off the Cardinals. Rolen struck out big outs. Cardinals at first and second. Nobody out in the first inning. Traxel got through the heavy hitters. Center field, sending McEwing back. Deep fly ball, out number 1. Franny, this is an interesting play. This ground ball that Matsui hit to end the bottom of the 3rd. Interesting is Tony Womack here had Tommy John surgery performed in October, and you wonder, because he doesn't have a lot on that throw, and it barely got Matsui.
It did barely get Matsui, and I think it surprised Matsui. It didn't have much on it because it almost looked like he slowed down his last 2 steps to first base.
Womack there, you see in the amazing story. I mean, Tony Womack had Tommy John surgery, the elbow transplant, in October, and was playing in spring training. 5 months, which is the fastest recovery from that I've ever heard. Now Traxel's got to cover first. Nicely done.
That's a nice play by Wigginton.
See, I tell you, this again, you're seeing it in the first few innings tonight. The learning curve for Piazza at first base. Mike's just not sure yet. And this is a ball that an experienced first baseman's going to know that Wigginton can get to this ball.
And Wigginton gets his ball on the outfield grass and makes the flip to Traxel at first base. Again, another look. Edmonds pulling the ball. Look at Wigginton getting on that grass and flipping over to Traxel. Nice play. Saw Mike Piazza fall down his first couple of steps. He then went down, and Wigginton made the grab. Traxel was over there.
That's what's so hard for Piazza, for anybody so new at that position. Understanding what you can get to, what your second baseman can get to. On the bunt play, whether or not you break for the ball. Meanwhile, a very good inning for Traxel. Gorgeous night. The humidity from last night is cleared out. The rain from the day is cleared out. And a very nice night at Shea. We've got a day game tomorrow. 1:10 first pitch.
Winner's corner after the game.
We'll be with you on Fox Sports Net, but we're in the neighborhood. Nice day expected here tomorrow as Floyd takes inside.
Day baseball. Mets usually draw pretty good for day games here at Shea Stadium.
Well, tomorrow's a kind of a public service, which is I'm glad, and I wish more teams did this in baseball. I think it's a little bit of a public service for the Cardinals, because they play in Chicago Friday in a day game, and it's really unfair to the paying customer to force a team to play a night game, fly into a city, and then play a day game the next day. Too many times teams are forced into that. 2-2. Day game here tomorrow. Then Colorado's in for the weekend. Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. Sunday, of course, be a big day out here. It's Cap Day, Military Appreciation Day. Cliff takes low 3-2, and Sean Estes has returned to Shea. How about that? All wrapped up in one big day.
Sean Estes with that big curveball. How about Jeremy Burnett will be in town? He's smoking.
Burnett's is red hot, and Estes is the second winningest pitcher in the National League. He won his 6th game last night for Colorado.
To be honest with you, it was confusing why he wasn't a big winner in New York. He had such a good curveball.
That's low, and Floyd is on. Leadoff walk here in front of Piazza. Now we'll take a look at our Aflac Trivia quiz for tonight. Who's had the most consecutive 25 home run seasons among Major League third basemen? Is this all time, guys? All time, says Charlie.
Yes, Scott Rolen did 6.
Yeah, we're going to give you a hint. He's not the answer.
And neither is Mike Schmidt the answer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But I got a feeling that there was a third baseman with the Braves at one time who might be there, but I'm not sure.
Darrell Evans, huh?
Could you know Darrell Evans might be there with Eddie Matthews. You don't think so?
Not that many, no. Darrell Evans is a good home run hitter. 400. Right?
Sure, no.
I don't think he had 6 years in a row like that.
You sure?
I'll stake what?
I want to hear this.
Quite a bit on it.
Okay.
My cell phone. How's that?
That'll kill you if we take that away for a day.
2-0 now to Piazza. So the Mets getting Supan here in a little bit of trouble in this inning. He walks Floyd. Now Piazza gets a chance to sit 2-0. Mike has hit 3 home runs in 8 career at-bats off this pitcher.
He was taken all the way.
He's 5 for 8 against Suppan with 3 homers. Maybe the reason why we saw a pitch in the first at-bat that Piazza had. That was looked like a pitch in Mike's happy zone. He fouled it back.
Well, he got that base hit to right field, as you mentioned. He really had some good rips his first time up. Looks like he's locked in tonight. He had solid, strong BP.
Ripped to left, but it's going to hook foul. Well, you see, I think in these first 2 at-bats, Fran, we're seeing why Piazza has these numbers against Suppan. It's just very comfortable swings for Mike.
Yeah, look at that swing. That's a good swing. He just pulls it foul. Mike Piazza looks like he has a real good balance. We showed the stroke he had first time up when he fouled the ball back and then got a base hit. There's Mike Cameron.
This is a bad feeling for a pitcher. And guys, talk about this after they've gotten through with a guy, but when a pitcher's out there and he doesn't think like he's really got a way to get the guy out, it's a horrible feeling. Now, that's not a bad pitch. Mike fouled it off, but pitchers will talk about this sometimes in private. They'll say there's a certain guy they feel like whatever they throw up there, the guy hits.
And it's funny, Ted, you can watch a guy and the way he takes a pitch, and he's got complete control, he's got great balance. He's locked in just by the way he takes the pitch. And by the way, the catcher, Mike Matheny, has 2 chances coming into tonight's game.
There goes Floyd. How about that? And Piazza fouls it. So Cliff's quad's not quite healed fully, still put in motion.
Mike Matheny coming into tonight's game was 2 chances shy of tying Charles Johnson's major league record for consecutive errorless chances by a catcher. When he set it with the Florida Marlins, Charles Johnson did. Matheny's current streak of 1,292 consecutive errorless chances consists of 1,203 putouts and 89 assists. But you know what? Tell me about his bat.
Goes Cliff again, and another foul. But what's nice, Fran? We often joke about this. Cliff probably wondered why they're doing this to me. Why are they doing this to me? I just won the game last night. They can run all the time. But anyway, Matheny may be one of the exceptions in today's game, the St. Louis catcher, to the rule that you have to hit to play, because he is so good behind the plate, such a marvelous handler of pitchers, that the Cardinals, that's a guy Milwaukee gave up on Matheny. The Cardinals play him every day.
If they lose and they have somebody that can out hit him, he's out of the lineup. But all due respect to defense. Ted and I were discussing this eloquently before the game.
Here's Cliff. Now, that's a good move by the Cardinals there, because Cliff has just run twice. He's probably not thrilled.
They're testing
and a throw to first. Now, that's good play by the Cardinals.
Cliff's got to be in better shape than that. He's perspiring all over the place. Dives back. You know what? He's just falling and touching base. Cliff's showing an example of why people say baseball players are not in the shape of other athletes. He just ran to second base twice. He didn't run around the stadium.
Not running here. And a fly ball to right. Playable for Sanders. So the nice battle there between Suppan and Piazza. The pitcher wins it. One away.
We're talking about, when the hitter's locked in, even when he's taking a pitch. If he takes a pitch and he has a nice quiet stride, his hands are back in a hitting position, they have not collapsed, he's watching the ball into the glove, he's in good shape. It's the guy that's lunging, hands are going forward. Now he's messed up. If Suppan stays in this ball game, Mike Piazza might do some damage with that bat.
Seal fly to center and the second. Cliff's working hard over there, isn't he?
He's exhausted.
Well, I was going to say, what they're doing, they're taking the spirit out of him a little bit.
Cliff better not show them that he's not in shape. They might have him out here doing some jogging. He might have to go out with you when you go out at 12 noon for your 10 miles.
That's an off day. Yeah, in the old days. 2 strikes to Zeal. And Jason Phillips waiting. Hits for the Mets so far off Suppan. Trying to capitalize here on a leadoff walk. Zeal rips it. Nice pick. I tell you, Rolen, he's like Patrick Waugh down there in third. I mean, he's like a Vezina Trophy golden.
Pick it, Wilson.
Look at that pick. Double play to end the inning. Let's answer our Aflac trivia quiz tonight. Let's see if Franny had it right. You guessed Eddie Matthews, right?
I want that cell phone.
Oh, there it is.
11 seasons.
Wow. The late, great Eddie Matthews,
He
who
hit over 500 home runs.
played, of course, for the Braves in 3 cities. That's a feat that may not be matched again. Played for them in Boston, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. Marlon Anderson to start the 5th. Traxel and Suppan hooked up here. Scoreless game.
Eddie Matthews was one of the toughest guys. I mean, physically would fight anybody that ever played the game. And when he was a scout, he signed a player who was a catcher who ended up signing a hockey contract. After that, he became one of the toughest players ever to play hockey. Played for the Islanders.
Clark Gillies.
You got it.
Wow.
How about Eddie Matthews signing Clark Gillies and didn't know he could fight?
Here, I have a better question. 3-0. That's right. Am I right? Clark Gillies was he from Saskatchewan? I think, what the heck was Eddie Matthews doing scouting in Saskatchewan?
I should have asked that question.
Man.
I believe he was with the farm director, too.
Popped up here by Anderson.
Knowing Eddie, he might have got lost.
I don't want to go. Lloyd catches the pop-up off Anderson's bat. 1 away here in Cardinal 5th. We remind you that New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by HIP Health Plan. Now that's hit. By Nissan and your Nissan dealer. And by the power of you, your advisor, and Dreyfus. To learn more, call your financial advisor. Dusk here at Shea on a very pretty New York night. Matheny to bat. Reached on an error in the 2nd.
Talked about Matheny's ability defensively in postseason play. He's done pretty well. Swinging that bat. You know, it's funny, Ted, and you hear it time and again, and we did talk about this before the ball game, how, you know, a player, the defense is so important, but you got to be able to mix in some offense. And I know it holds true for catchers especially. Hey, call a good game, throw the ball, work with the pitchers. That's important. But you got to swing that stick.
There's a change there by Traxel, 1 and 2.
It's good. You got to do something with the bat. Not that there.
Yeah, and you're right, Brad. I mean, look, no one's going to play a guy that hits 150. No one's ever has. I mean, eventually, even guys like Mark Belanger had to hit a little bit to play. But the point is, here's a guy who doesn't have to hit a lot. Just be able to contribute some way.
And right here, he didn't hit a lot as he swings. I can relate to swinging at a breaking ball like that. Breaking ball, you know, you see it break, you say, oh, no, he's got my number. You swing through it.
So here's Jeff Suppan now. 2 outs, 3 strikeouts for Traxel. And he's allowed 3 hits.
Left-handed hitting catchers are the key. I mean, if you can swing the bat from the left side of the plate, sometimes you don't even have to hit.
So now we mentioned last night, for those of you that were with us, the extraordinary history Fran Healy had against Hall of Fame pitcher Jim Palmer.
I didn't know about it, but Jim's going to get upset if he's watching this game. I'm telling you. He doesn't know about it either.
I think I have to worry about it. I'm sure Jim's probably doing an Orioles game right now. But anyway.
Okay, go ahead then.
So Fran owed Jim Palmer. Now, Fran often champions Bert Blyleven, speaking of good hooks for the Hall of Fame. And I found out why, because our good friends at retrosheet.org who researched your history. You've got 14 at-bats against Bert Blyleven. 1 hit.
Can we get back to Palmer? Forget Bert.
Now I know why you think Bert's a Hall of Famer. Well hit by Suppan. McEwing runs it down. Good inning for Traxel again. Now he wants some runs. Now that right there, you see the right next to Jason Phillips, that number, now that's getting better. And one more hit is going to get Jason Phillips up over 200. Then he'll start looking at the scoreboard.
Yeah, you don't know how important that hit is for a player. And it's funny because the average is just for that individual player's ego. As far as being important, the batting average isn't that important.
Self-esteem.
It keeps you in the lineup. Self-esteem,
right?
Right?
It is.
Keeps you in the lineup.
I mean, look, Jason Phillips, that one won't do it. Although Renteria will have plenty of time here to recover. And there's one away now in the Mets half of the 5th inning. Well, last night, a remarkable night in Atlanta. It's our Mohegan Sun baseball moment. And just shy of his 41st birthday, Randy Johnson became the oldest pitcher in history of the game to throw a perfect game, 16th in regular season history. And Eddie Perez, a pinch hitter because he had a good lifetime mark against Johnson, the final out. How about that, Fred? 98 miles an hour on his 117th pitch of the night.
Just has magnificent stuff. You know, we talked about Randy Johnson as far as just being the most intimidating left-hander in the history of the game. Now, the best over a 6-year period clearly was Sandy Koufax, but Sandy wouldn't throw at anybody. Where Randy Johnson, whether it was intentional or not, you were in danger when he was pitching. Mike Stanton was telling me when they were younger, they played, I believe it was instructional league together or something like that. He said that he was all over the place. But that's intimidating.
2-0 now to Wigginton. That's hit to left center, sending Edmonds on the run over his head. Wigginton drives it to the 396 mark, and he snaps the 0-for streak with a double. That's a Ty Wigginton statement saying nobody gets me to go 0-for-20.
And he said, I'm going to do it with the Panasonic digital replay so they can see it over and over again. Watch the body, spin around the post. You know, both balls in this inning were hit hard. One was an out, and one is a double.
So a one-out double. Now the Mets try to cash in at the bottom of the order. McEwing and then Traxel. This is that most difficult situation now for an 8th place hitter. It's a curveball. 8th place hitter, first base open, and you're sitting there and you're thinking you have no idea if they're really going to pitch to you, and if they do, are they just going to throw you off speed stuff?
It almost pays to go up there and look for that breaking ball first pitch, but it's a lot easier up here when you're talking about it.
But now Joe McEwing tonight said that very thing. He said that's what you really have to do in this. You have to sit off speed, and you got a fastball, and they're going to get him out. That's why that situation there really illustrates why it is the toughest place to hit in the National is the 8th spot in the batting.
What about the American?
I don't see that it makes
bat at 9.
Yeah.
You can say that's tough. It's tough. You know what that self-esteem? You know what self-esteem you're talking about before? You see your name in the lineup batting 9? You have none. You go out the field with no self-esteem.
So Jack McKeon didn't believe in using that as another leadoff hitter like a lot of American League managers.
I still get on him about
guy.
that. We had a lot of speed tonight.
So here's Traxel now with 2 outs. Now there's a, for Met fans of age can remember a great doubleheader sweep the Mets had in their miracle year of 1969 in Pittsburgh. They swept the Pirates a doubleheader at Forbes Field. They won both games 1-0. Jerry Koosman and Don Cardwell pitched complete game shutouts. And in both games, there's a lean, but Wigginton gets back. And in both games, Koosman and Cardwell drove in the runs.
That's amazing.
And
I like this here, Ted. Watch this. He gets back, but you notice, well, that wasn't a shot of it, but both Womack and Edmonds were backing up second base on that throw. When you're a catcher and you get that kind of support, you just let it fly. You won't pick up an error. By the way, last year, Jerry Koosman and Rusty Staub and a bunch of the guys celebrating the history of 73, the success of 73. You should look at the Vent on Deck. They were over at Yogi Berra's museum, and I heard that Jerry Coogan said, we started winning 73 when Seaver and I started to hit.
Well, Traxel's thinking right now, I can really help myself. Tap? No, wrong place to hit it. Rolen. What an arm. Ooh, that is just a gun that he possesses. And so the Mets unable to cash in on Wigginton's one-out double. Traxel, Suppan locked up in a scoreless duel here in our Jeep game summary.
Runners in scoring position. St. Louis. The Mets have one more than St. Louis. Steve Traxel throwing well, so is Suppan.
How about this, Fran? The Atlanta Braves, in their last 2 games, 18 strikeouts from Ben Sheets of Milwaukee. Perfect game last night by Randy Johnson. And they haven't scored yet tonight off Brandon Webb. And it is not going well in Atlanta. Of course, the Braves all banged up. Chipper Jones is playing, although it doesn't appear like he's 100%. For Colin, Giles are both out. They could be out for a while.
Giles could be out for a while because of their broken clavicle with that collision in center field.
And I'm not sure that you could find a shred of sympathy for him.
Nope. But boy, what a run they've had.
So here is Womack to start the 6th inning. Womack has singled to left center and bunted for a hit. Seal is in at third. The odds are even with the bag at first.
You can see Todd Seal way in on the grass. It's got to be so tempting for left-handers to see if he can wait a split second too long and slap it that way.
I mentioned Womack's Tommy John surgery and how amazing. Womack played for 3 teams last year. Arizona, Colorado, and the Cubs. Free agent at the end of the year, has the Tommy John surgery. The Red Sox signed him after the surgery. He was in camp with Boston this spring. Fouled away. The Cardinals were having trouble finding someone to replace Fernando Vina at second base, and they traded with the Red Sox to get Womack right near the end of spring. He's played almost every day for them.
I got to believe, Ted, that with the success of the Tommy John surgery on pitchers, that a general manager wouldn't flinch a bit in signing an everyday player with that type of surgery.
We told the story in Arizona last week that Luis Gonzalez is using Womack as his inspiration. Piazza knocks it down, but actually Traxel does his job by getting over, and Piazza defeats the baseball here.
The shuffle pass as he knocks it down, and he gets it in front of him and shuffles it to Traxel and led him perfectly as Traxel headed to first base. The key is to lead the pitcher and give him a ball he can handle.
That's perfect. Gonzalez is using Womack as his...
Watch this. Womack runs well, and he leads him with the ball. Try not to throw it too softly where it ends up behind the pitcher.
So Renteria, the batter, singled and then lined into a double play. And a curveball strike. Just to finish that point is that Womack, the ability of Womack to come back and play this year is what Luis Gonzalez says is the reason he's going to have Tommy John surgery at the end of this year. And it's just like John Franco pointed to Jesse Orozco, right? Said there's a guy that had in his 40s and could come back. And John Franco said, if Orozco could do it, I could do it.
I think also what helped John Franco is so many people over the years said, you can't do this. And every time they said you can't do it, he did it.
Full foul.
And this is just another example. I really thought John was going to shut it down. He's back, and he's throwing the ball extremely well this year. There's John Franco.
And right behind Franco, the Mets have another guy who'll be closing in on a... he just realized he's on Kent. Yeah, see? Just realized.
Very emotional, John is.
Scott Strickland is getting closer to getting ready to pitch in some games. As he comes back, he had his surgery just about a year ago.
He had real good stuff prior to his surgery after coming down from Montreal to the Mets.
Well, Renteria's got He's got the mumbles going right now. He's at 2 line drive outs.
You know what's interesting? If you're down there at first base, you've been catching all these years. Having a line drive hit at you is an unusual experience because you're not used to this. You're used to catching fastballs, sliders, and curveballs. Now all of a sudden you've got no equipment except the glove. And Renterias, I can't believe it, a catcher making a play.
Well, of course, Mike's 1 inning at first base last year. I forget the hitter for Pittsburgh smoked a line drive right to him. So Pujols, 2 outs, nobody on.
Well, he struck out Pujols last time up with a nasty pitch. Great location down and in on the corner of the plate.
Two and 0. Rolen behind him. Mets trying to get to 500 tonight. The Cardinals are trying to stay above 500. They're 1 over. And they're 4th place in a very tight division. Strike 2 and 1.
Take a look at this pitch. It's all about location. You're looking at one of the best hitters in the game of baseball, and what happens? He strikes out. You see his weight shift? Couldn't handle the ball. Once you make that weight shift, he had in his mind he was taking his pitch. He knew he took a good pitch for a strike.
So 3-1 now.
He usually has great balance at the plate.
And Traxel issues his first walk. It is the first runner for the Cardinals since Womack bunted for a hit leading off the 3rd. After retiring 10 in a row, Traxel puts a man on, now faces Rolen. David Weathers, probably, Art House said before the game, probably not available tonight. But Art hopeful that Weathers would be good to go tomorrow.
Art didn't want to talk about tenderness in David Weathers' arm when the Mets were in Arizona. There was a hullabaloo about Ricky Bottalico swinging the bat as opposed to a pinch hitter. And they didn't have David Weathers available that day, but Art Howe didn't want that out. He didn't want the opposition to know it. We found out because David Weathers eventually had to come out with a tender arm. But Art told me the next day it was a red flag when he was in the trainer's room before that game with tender bicep. Wasn't going to use him, but didn't want to say it. That's why when we say, you know, there are conversations downstairs in the clubhouse and in the dugout we're not privy to. Nobody is except the manager and the coaches and the players.
Nice ball up, 1-1 to Rolen. Well, Weathers now, if he doesn't pitch tonight, would be 6 days, and that Jay So watches preparing for his start tomorrow. But that's if it goes much beyond that, you'd have to think about disabling a guy. But Art felt that he would likely have the availability of Weathers tomorrow. And the final point is that just misses is that it's a precaution because Weathers wants to pitch. But of course the medical people are being cautious to be sure that there's no long-term harm to Weathers. Two-1. Pujols at first and 2 outs. The curve, 2-2. The idea this big boy's not going to see a fastball.
I wouldn't give it to him, but you know, but that splitter, he got him with the splitter earlier. Here's that over-the-top hook. He froze him. So it's up to Jason Phillips now to call a pitch he feels that he can get the big guy out on. The money pitch so far for Traxel has been the splitter. They're going inside.
Hold it foul.
Yeah, pretty good rip at that splitter. You already got him tonight to swing at a bad ball. That took place in the first inning. Struck him out. He flied out to center field in the 4th. Got a pretty good rip at that pitch in the 4th inning.
Dented the equipment. Bill Webb takes that personally.
He'll take it home and fix it. It'll be back here tomorrow early.
I didn't know Webby ran a dent shop. I had no idea. 2-2. Curveball, right field base hit.
It's good hitting.
Yes, it is. Pujols stops at second.
He uses the whole field. And he proved it last night against Tom Glavine. He threw a nasty pitch and he doubled the right center field his first time up. Well, this is his third at bat tonight. Our Panasonic digital replay. And that's a nasty curveball. And he just goes out and serves it to right field. Doesn't try to pull it. Goes the other way. Good hitting by 27, Scott Rolen.
It's the frustration of a 2-out walk. As good a hitter as Pujols is, the walk just gives more good hitters a chance to build up the inning. Now Edmonds, it really hurt you with one swing. A guy that hit 39 homers last year has 9 already this year.
And tends to strike out a lot, even though he's a guy that can make some contact and hit the long ball. If you strike out a lot, that means you're swinging at the pitch that is a pitch other than a fastball. Usually that's the strikeout pitch. I mean, you can set guys up with the fastball, you can strike them out with the fastball, but ordinarily you get them with something other than the fastball for the strikeout. To get in the big leagues, you got to be able to hit one pitch for certain. That's the fastball. You can't get that bat around in a fastball, you're not going to get into the big leagues.
So here's even a more pressing question for Traxel. Maybe Edmonds' batter, but he's got third base. It's an open base.
I agree.
So pitch carefully here.
I would.
Even though you load him up and risk or take your chances with Reggie Sanders.
Who at times been known to strike out. Also has been known to hit long home runs. Going to be right-hander against right-hander.
A spread Edmonds is.
You know, it's funny because usually you spread out like that, it's tough to fool a hitter. You know, you keep away from lunging. You get a guy who's prone to the strikeout.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And it's surprising that he's prone to the strikeout because he's been known as a real good major league hitter. But right here, he doesn't even take a stride. He lifts that heel of the right foot and puts it down. Watch his front foot.
2-1. All 3 of these guys, Edmonds, Rolen, Pujols, the 3 big hitters in this order, they're all variations of the same style. They're all spread. None of them stride forward with their front foot.
You go to the Mets, you take a look at Mike Piazza, one of the best hitters in the game. Same thing, a short stride. I think baseball is going to go back to that. Barry Bonds.
High fastball. 2-2.
Target outside, and Traxel gets some juice to the point of 87. Look at his front foot. Now look at it go up and down.
Spins off it. That's interesting. Same as you would expect off the back foot. Well, he clearly was not expecting a fastball. Edmonds was well behind him.
He'll turn the dial up now, so he might be vulnerable to that splitter.
Let's see how the Mets attack. 2-2.
Watch the target. Fastball. Okay, 3-2. You know what? Get third base open. You can throw that splitter again. Why give him a shot at hitting that fastball? He's going to be geared for the fastball. As Ted mentioned, he was late on the fastball earlier in the count.
Runners will move. Strike 3.
Splitter.
Boy, that one fooled Edmonds. And Traxel again gets a big out to strand runners.
Oh, if only you had that camera at home plate. You'd know you're getting a splitter. Look at Edmonds. He said, I'm getting out of the way. It's a strike.
On Sunday, the Mets will host Military Appreciation Day at Shea, hosting Colorado. Prior to the game, the Mets will collect phone cards, pens, envelopes, stamps, well, just about anything you can imagine for a care package sent overseas to our troops. Donations will go directly to the 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines. For a list of acceptable items, you can log on to Mets.com. It's military on hand here before the game tonight. Al Leiter with a chance to meet them.
Yeah, the military was They were celebrated by Al Leiter and the Mets here at Shea Stadium. Nice gathering before the ball game on the field.
So the Mets now trying to break through against Suppan in the 6th. Top of the lineup.
Tom Seaver told me going into Marine Reserves is one of the biggest things he did in his life.
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
They gave him a fastball when he left. He didn't have one when he went in.
I would say Tom's as proud of the initials USMC in his life as he is HOF.
He said it was a great education. I guess there was no negotiating in there. There's number 41.
2-1 to Valent. He's just, it's funny, he is not getting a fastball to hit. I mean, it was all 3 at-bats tonight, nothing but off speed.
And he's picked up a double in his ball game as he looking to swing through that pitch.
A fastball there, and that was trying to paralyze him for strike 3. But not one he can really hit.
Well, we'll see now. He's leading off here in the 6th inning. You don't want a base runner. Suppan just looked out at the scoreboard. He knows it's 3-2. He's got to throw a strike. You don't want to put him on base.
Breaking ball, but popped up.
3-2 breaking ball. How about that to Eric Valent? What's the book on Eric?
Yeah. Not going to get a fastball.
Off speed.
Well, every weeknight, don't miss the WB 11 News at 10 for the stories that matter to you and the issues that affect your life. Join Jim Watkins and Heidi Ta on weeknights on the WB 11 News at 10. Matsui has grounded to 3rd and to 2nd tonight. By the way, Mike Cameron was examined today by a hand specialist from NYU Medical Center, and the diagnosis, a collateral ligament sprain in that right pinky finger, which is, it goes back to the slide at home plate 2 weeks ago against the Giants here, and he's listed, I don't want to startle you, but he's listed day to day.
I like to hear like a guy's listed every 2 days.
I mean, this is,
I would make sure that
that's a great one, day to day.
You want to make sure that thing is completely healed, because they remember the catches, but they really remember the swings. Kaz Matsui swing like there. He doesn't want. Now you don't want to do this. We'll get you a better shot of Kaz Matsui swing. He's had some big hits. We had a big hit last night, but that's not a good swing right there. It's funny when you look at Kaz Matsui, he has the size of a leadoff hitter or a number 2 hitter, but his approach is not that of a leadoff hitter. But a huge hit in last night's game. Broken bad base hit to tie it all up.
2-2. Bring him out. Off speed, up, and Matsui is the 3rd strikeout victim for Suppan.
Heard last night Ralph talking about left field duel, putting a rope around Joe DiMaggio, keeping him back. Well, right here, Matsui needs that rope because his body's first thing that goes out there. I believe it was Ted Williams who said he used his hands when he hit 100%, and he used his body 80% or 85%, which meant he had his body under control. But then you want your hands to drive that bat through the hitting zone.
And a ground ball here, so that's a very good inning for Suppan. And we go to the 7th on a pitcher's night at Shea. No scores. We go to the 7th inning on Mets Wednesday here on MSG, and this copyrighted telecast presented by authority of Sterling Mets may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets. Traxel back out. He'll face Sanders, then Marlon Anderson and Mike Matheny.
Well, Suppan has been throwing the ball very well, and so has Steve Traxel, staying in the strike zone. Steve Traxel's been mixing up his pitches, the over-the-top curveball, his fastball, his splitter. There's that curveball.
1-1 to Reggie Sanders, who was grounded to short, flied to right.
If you were to say anything about Sanders, he'd have to be he's a good fastball hitter with power.
36 now is Reggie Sanders. pretty much know at the end of the year you're going to write in 30 homers, somewhere in that neighborhood, 80, 90 RBIs for Sanders, a lot of strikeouts, but he's been consistent enough through his career that you have an idea that's what he's going to give you.
Plays adequate defense. See that? You forgot to mention that very important defense.
You won't let that go, do you?
You never hear it, do you? So-and-so's in the Hall of Fame for one reason, and it's the bat. There's the splitter. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Bill Mazeroski, right?
Yes, he hit that home run, though.
He's not in the Hall of Fame for that home run. Bobby Thompson didn't make the Hall of Fame.
No, he didn't. But if you get a lot of those.
Center field, right to McEwing. Reggie Sanders, the first out.
And again, Steve Traxel throwing strikes. Jason Phillips calling an excellent game. You know why? Because there's no score. You got to give the credit to the catcher. They're on the same page. You know, it's great because you're dealing in the abstract with that. When you deal in the abstract, you can justify anything. Is he calling a good game? Nothing. He's calling a masterpiece.
Anderson's flied to left twice. Did you think a pitcher was a good judge of that? Of a catcher's ability to call a game?
That's an interesting question. There's a long answer. My feeling, I won't give you the long version.
We have about 45 minutes, don't worry.
No, I'm going to look at that splitter again. My feeling is when you're catching a pitcher with good stuff, he's going to make you a good catcher. I don't care what you call it. All due respect to all the great catchers over the years, when you catch Tom Seaver, Jerry Kuzman, Nolan Ryan, Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, you get a chance to be a smart catcher.
Now low to Anderson, 1-1. How about the 2 prominent catchers that left the National League and went back to the, went to the American League during this offseason? 2-1 now to Anderson. Pudge Rodriguez is hitting about 350, and the Tigers may win more games by the All-Star break this year than they did all last year.
What do you think?
And Javi Lopez is hitting about 340 in Baltimore, and the Orioles are over 5.
And they signed very lucrative contracts because of one reason and one reason only. And it wasn't the feeling they brought to the clubhouse.
That one is by Piazza, and Anderson has a base hit. 1 out, and the Cardinals have a runner.
The catcher, number 22, Mike Matheny.
Ball's hit past Mike Piazza at first base. Mike dove, and the ball bounced over his glove. So now you need a double play ball. You got Matheny, the catcher, who is batting. You have a splitter on the mound, a split finger fastball. You need the ground ball. You got to utilize your middle infielders and turn that double play in a 0-0 ball game here at Shea. And Traxel, along with Suppan, has pitched extremely well.
So Matheny, the batter, and the other now wheels spin for the 2 managers. You saw a moment ago Cal Eldred is warming up in the St. Louis bullpen. There's Eldred again. So Tony La Russa has the ability to hit for Suppan if he wants.
The way Suppan's pitching, would you hit for him?
Tony La Russa will, guaranteed, because he wants to win the game.
He might do well, if they don't score a run, he might be doing the Mets a favor because Suppan so far has been very effective.
With that, the runner going, and the throw at that there.
Ooh.
So the Cardinals steal Anderson into scoring position.
Well, you see him go. You see the throw from Phillips. He bounces it, but you know what? It's on the money. He's out.
I don't know.
You don't think so? Take another look.
Watch his left hand.
Okay, watch where the glove touches his head.
Left hand versus the glove.
Touch his head.
No helmet. No, he's safe.
Okay, I'll go along with you.
He's good. That's a good call.
Very good call. The ball bounces.
He tagged the helmet. The helmet was off. Right. Yeah, the helmet's out. Anderson's in.
Throw the helmet out. Now you get a base open. It's 1-0 on Matheny. You walk him. You bring up a pinch hitter. You get a guy who's been effective so far in the game out of the game. So Steve Traxel's going to make Matheny hit his best pitch.
Yeah, 1-1 here, and Suppan is in the on-deck circle for the moment. Cardinals have available on their bench, Ray Langford. And I'm talking about left-hand hitters here. Cody McKay, their backup catcher. And yes, Roger Cedeno. For the game tonight, Tony La Russa was telling me that's the role he envisions Cedeno playing with his ball club. He thinks Roger has the capability of being a decent pinch hitter. 2-1.
I see Traxel trying to make Matheny chase something that's out of the strike zone. Again, you have first base open. Very intelligent right-hander, Steve Traxel. You don't need a catcher to remind him either. He's a veteran of many years in the major leagues. He knows exactly what he has to do right now.
Popped up. Wigginton back. Valent in. Valent takes it.
Well, they're going to get a pinch hitter.
There's no, Tony La Russa is not involved in any personal agendas whatsoever. He just wants to win the game.
Oh, I don't blame him.
He needs to score a run here.
The one thing you got to keep in mind, though, and we've talked about it many times, the toughest thing in baseball to do is a pinch hit. What's a real good batting average for a pinch hitter? 210?
Oh, no, a good one would be higher than that.
220?
Yeah, 250 probably. 250 would be a good pinch hit.
That's a real good pinch hitter. And, you know, in talking to guys who have pinch hit, I mean real good hitters, they don't like to pinch hit. So, Tony La Russa said, I'm going to go to my bullpen.
Right, but if it's 7th inning and your pitcher's 0 for the season and you've got a pinch hitter that's got a chance, you know, between 200 and 250, I know which way he's going. I know which way I'd go. I mean, if my pitcher was an ace, that might be a different story. But Jeff Suppan is not an ace pitcher.
How do you like the guy in the bullpen?
Oh, Eldred?
Good pitcher.
Yeah, I'm sure Tony La Russa has a lot of confidence.
Same as Suppan. You want the best. You want the better of the two in the game. That's my feeling.
The better pitcher of the two.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't argue that point. But the object here, he's trying to score a run.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he needs a single to score a run.
And Brent Langford facing that splitter. We'll see what happens here with a runner on second base. You have first base open. Tony Womack, who's really not a huge threat with the bat, is on deck. And Steve Traxel knows it.
Langford, yeah, there's his, well, there you go. There's your answer. Okay, Healy, you got it. 144 career pinch hitter. Good job, Charlie Kuchara.
Nice job, Charlie. Saved me.
Do you know how much Fran doesn't like to say good job to Charlie?
Oh,
Charlie will never let you forget that.
Charlie's a single ball pitcher at Fordham.
Hold the Piazza, and the Mets get the out. Now we'll find out if they can capitalize on the Cardinal bullpen, break the scoreless tie. We have a scoreless night at Shea Stadium going to the bottom of the 7th inning. Steve Traxel, Jeff Suppan have dominated the night. Fran, that's pretty good, impressive finishing line from OTB.
83 pitches, and he's in the groove, but he's out of the game. So his groove is in the clubhouse, and the Cardinals have a new pitcher. And they also keep Langford in the ball game in left field. So we are in a pitcher's duel. Cal Eldred on the mound for the Redbirds. And we'll see if it changes the luck of the Mets against Cardinal pitching.
Mike Piazza, single to right, fly to right.
The other thing that we didn't discuss that the manager takes into consideration when he's moving the pitcher out of the game is some pitchers only want to give you 6 innings or 7 innings. And the manager knows the pitchers that don't want to go any longer than that. Same thing with coaches. They know. You see Todd Zeal on deck. So a lot of things go into a decision.
I think that's a part of it, too, that Suppan is probably considered in the Cardinals' mind that if he give you 6, thank you, that's a great job. Now now the key is, you know, Piazza's leading off the inning. Foul that away. You've got to make sure you've got a reliever that you think can get him out. Eldred has given up 2 home runs to Piazza, 13 career at bats.
Well, we'll see if the Redbirds get burnt with the move.
balance. That'll go foul. So it stays 1-2. Now Eldred is a guy that is 36 now, was formerly a terrific starter in Milwaukee. Had all kinds of elbow injuries in his career, and it seemed like he was done. He missed the entire 02 season, most of the 01 season, then came back last year in the Cardinal bullpen, pitched well. This year's been hit a little bit. 18 hits in 11 innings. Fastball missing, 2-2.
Against Eldred so far, it looks like Mike is pulling off the ball. Against Suppan, he stayed in there. Nasty hook right there.
56-footer.
Yeah, that's not good for the catcher. He's in a home, no, oh no. But he had to block it because there were 2 strikes. If Mike swings at the bad ball, you got to keep it in front of you. So 3-2. Does he come back with that fastball? He got Todd Zeal on deck. Mike Piazza sitting on the fastball.
Ooh. Now I'm impressed. Eldred, I mean, 91 is good for a guy with Eldred's medical history.
Look at this.
That's another one Mike would like to have a rip at.
He was right on it. Here we go again. Head on down on the ball. Just good swing. Just a little bit late.
So now, what do you call if you're Matheny?
You know
Come
what?
back with the gas?
Well, I'll tell you what. I used to love that breaking ball, but how well does Eldred throw it? Not well enough. So he walks Piazza. I'm assuming you'll get a pinch runner late in the ball game.
7th inning, what do you think?
I like to keep Mike's bat in the lineup.
I think he stays in too.
And you know, Art Howe said this is going to be a very tough decision for him. When to replace him defensively at first base. Mike Stanton throws in the bullpen.
Yeah.
So Mike Piazza will. No, Mike's looking in the dugout.
Yeah, I don't think you can take him out in a tie game, but I could be wrong here. I would think
they're going to.
Danny Garcia, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, actually, Mike's walking off the base.
The dilemma you have, I'm sure, if you're the manager of the Mets, you take him out of the game, you go to the 9th inning, he's due up, and the game's still nothing. They say, how can you take his bat out of the lineup?
So I'm surprised in the 7th inning.
Yeah, so am I. And again, I talked to Art Howe about this, and he said that's going to be the tough decision, is when to replace Mike defensively. So they took the opportunity here to put some speed on the bases.
Now here's the interesting move. It's Cameron. This is actually from the standpoint that Cameron probably can't hit. Is a good situation because he can certainly run, help you here. And if you score this inning, he could not play center field.
Yeah. Although I'll tell you, Joe McEwen has looked very good in center field. Of course, you can move Joe into first base.
Now the other question here is, again, the math. Whereas all numbers right here. The Mets know exactly how long it takes Eldred to get the ball to home plate and how long it takes Matheny to throw to second. Can Cameron steal? Not trying. Zeal now in a 2-strike hole.
I think because of Matheny's reputation defensively, the Mets might be cautious in a nothing ball game unless you reach a point where you gamble. But Matheny won the Gold Glove last year. The Gold Glove gives you a reputation as being not only a good receiver, but a good thrower. Matheny has a pretty good arm, although last year he only threw out 28% of would-be base stealers.
Double play ball. No, that's just. Wow, that's exactly what the Mets need. I say just what the Cardinals wanted, and the Mets get a huge break on the bad throw by Womack. Well, I'm telling you, it's Tommy John surgery.
And well, that's one thing, but I'm telling you, Cameron was all over him. Watch this. Flip the second. Watch Cameron. He's on top of him. And the ball is bounced to first base, as Ted mentioned, that Tommy John surgery. Watch Cameron go after him. Don Baylor likes that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job by Cameron, but I'd say that I think you see here that Womack, Tony's got a better arm than him.
Yes, he does.
I think that's just an issue of coming back quick from the surgery.
Well, I'm sure that in the meeting today or yesterday, they talked about Womack's arm. And, of course, if you do anything, you can get in his way. You catch a break, and the Mets caught a break right there because that was a tailor-made double play ball.
So the Mets lose the pinch running use of Cameron. Now Zeal is the runner, and it's 1 strike to Phillips. First time that Phillips has ever batted against Eldred. Curveball, this Could well be 2. And that throw by Womack a little bit better, and nice.
Zeal's hurt. Zeal gets spiked.
Wow. We'll see about Zeal when we come to the Mets suffering a double hit in the bottom of the 7th, taking Piazza out for pinch runner, and then Zeal gets spiked here by Womack.
Yeah, Womack just trying to get out of the way. Spikes Zeal in the right ear, and he's out of the ball game. So Ty Wigginton moves to third base.
Now catching number 3,
And Jason Phillips goes to first. Vance Wilson, or there's Danny Garcia at second base. So a lot of moves here. Ty Wigginton going over to third. Vance Wilson behind the plate. So the big, and Mike Stanton on the mound, the big batter might be out of the ball game. But as we mentioned, Art Howe said that's going to be the big decision for him when moving Mike Piazza's bat out of that lineup, and it's a 0-0 ball game here at the top of the 8th.
That's the risk the manager runs. He knows it. You take Piazza out, it's a gamble that you're going to score, and if you don't, as you said, you do get stuck in that situation where that spot will come around again in the order.
You know, that slide into second base was a good, hard, clean slide. Womack didn't do it intentionally, but he cut Todd Zeal. There have been some great collisions at second base. Don Baylor's been in a lot of them. He was a great slider as far as breaking up double plays at second base.
But we'll get you the batting order positions when we learn them. That's shuffling around several players, and now it's Stanton to Womack. And this is a matchup. They've only had one regular season meeting, but I don't have it in front of me available, but I would assume they must have faced each other in that World Series when Stanton was a Yankee and Womack a Diamondback. One ball, one strike. So Mike Stanton is rested. Stanton has not pitched since Sunday when he had a 2-inning effort in the extra inning game at Houston. Womack takes the strike. Now Leiter talking to Matt Ginter. Now 2-2 to Womack. Ginter will make his second Mets start on Friday night here against Colorado, when Al Leiter, just listening to Al talk fourth game, didn't sound optimistic about going on Saturday as was hoped.
Al said he's always had some problems, or, you know, when he was in Toronto, had some problems with the back of his shoulder, and he compensated for it. And the guy that helped him compensate was Gil Patterson.
Off of Wigginton, and there'll be no play against Womack. So the Cardinals get the leadoff man on in the 8th.
Here is again Womack spanking that ball down at third base, and Wigginton unable to come up with it. So the Mets will pick up an error, I believe, on that ball. There's a base hit. So Edgar Renteria will bat now, the runner on first base.
The Mets have their best throwing catcher in the game, and a left-hander on the mound. This is about as much as the Mets can do to neutralize Womack's stolen base game.
Whoa,
well,
jeez.
Nice lunge by Phillips.
See Mike Stanton with that leg kick goes to first base, and Jason Phillips lunges to his left. They put the hit and run on as opposed to the stolen base here.
Now back by Renteria.
Got a guy who can really handle that bat. The only problem with that hit and run is you've got to swing the bat. He might end up getting a bad pitch, and that'd be a wasted at bat as Albert Pujols looks on from the on-deck circle.
Yeah, it's hard for the Cardinals because if you're sitting, I think, in St. Louis's side right now, the one thing you don't want is to deny Pujols and Rolen the chance to drive in a run.
Or Renteria, he can pop that ball. You don't want this. You don't want to go to sleep with Renteria. He's in double figures in RBIs as he can hit the long ball. I mean, this is a great situation for the Cardinals. This is their inning right now if they are to score. They get their leadoff man on with great speed. Nobody out.
And they're going to bunt. Wilson to second. What's the call? Out. Was a late call and finally called out at second. Safe at first.
You know what? I got a feeling.
Ooh, that was
second base umpire Rob Drake doesn't want to see the replay.
I say that was awfully close. I'm with you.
I think he's safe at second base. Take a look at naked eye, says he's safe. Womack, good speed to throw. Good call.
Well,
No?
see the ball in the glove
No,
yet.
it's
Hang
not.
on. You know, Womack, I think Womack,
Overslid the base.
well, it looked like he slid at Matsui and not at the base here. Let's just see if we get a better view of that part of it. Tony goes in there. Yeah, it looks like he's sliding at Matsui, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
His
And you know
front
what?
leg doesn't hit the base.
That is a good call by the second
Yeah.
base umpire, Rob Drake.
Yeah,
That's
so
a-
he's going in to break up Matsui rather than right to the base.
That's a bang play, and nice play by Vance Wilson with that strong throwing arm to cut down the speedy Tony Womack at second base.
So Rob Drake, that umpire at second, made that call. Now the Mets are bringing in Ricky Botalico with the right-handed bats of Pujols and Rolen looming. And the 8th inning. A taut night here at Shea. Both Supan and Traxel pitch beautifully in their roles. Neither gets a win. Ricky Botalico answers the direct connect call to the bullpen. New York Mets baseball brought to you in part by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Lexus dealer. We invite you to test drive a Lexus today. Ricky Botalico worked 2 innings and got the victory last night. Art Howe was hopeful that he could avoid him tonight, but with David Weathers likely not available, really no alternative. So Botalico in, Pujols the batter.
You know, Ted, Ricky Botalico told me that last year he was in the big leagues but didn't belong in the big leagues emotionally or physically. He said he knew it. Now he's back and he belongs. His arm is healthy, so mentally he's healthy and he feels like he belongs.
Well, he's got some challenge here. Pujols rolling back-to-back. Last night, Botalico did not face Pujols. The only man, in fact, he didn't face. He did walk Rolen. So it's a challenge for a guy who's himself coming back from medical problems. See what he's got back-to-back nights.
But he said he feels good. It's a good pitch right there.
2-1.
I like his approach. I mean, he says, give me the ball and I'm going to go after the hitter. Here's a slider that Pujols said, I need that bat one more time.
Pujols grounded out, called out on strikes, and walked. 2-2, and you see that Botalico is still got the closer mindset without the closer stuff.
Go after him.
Right.
He gets the ball up there around 90 miles an hour. He said when he first came out of college, all he did was rear back and fire. He said he now has a better idea on the mound. Ooh.
Got that fastball at 90 in there, and Pujols was way late on it.
Almost. Well, he did beat him, almost to the point where he threw it by him. Watch Pujols wait. Look at another one of those hitters that just lifts that front leg and puts it down. He lifts the heel of the front foot and puts it down.
Boy, it looked like he almost hit that ball out of Vance Wilson's glove.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how behind he was.
Better to be late than way out in front, because you can still get the barrel of the bat on the ball when you're late and drive it.
Off speed, driven to center. McEwing back. He's got room. So 2 down, and Renteria back to first.
I'm telling you, the more you see of Joe McEwing, no wonder La Russa loved him. No wonder Art Howe, Bobby Valentine, all these guys love him. Who knows, a little bit out in front.
I mean, I'm laughing because this is a one-handed, that's a one-handed swing, and he hits the ball 400 feet.
And he made contact, but Joe McEwing chased it down. Is there a position he doesn't play and play it in a decent fashion?
Oh. And you don't think that's one strong young dude there at Pujols?
Oh,
I mean, that's
boy.
a one-handed swing. And he hit that ball 400 feet. Now, Scott Rolen 1 for 3 tonight. There goes Renteria. Wilson's throw, wrong side, and Renteria's in. So 2 steals in the last 2 innings by the Cardinals.
Well, Rolen taking all the way, and the pitch that looked pretty good, and it was a strike. The ball was thrown to the shortstop side of second base. Sometimes when you're catching, you want to get rid of the ball so quickly and put a lot on it, you carry it a little bit too far across your body, and that's when you get that ball on the shortstop side of second base. Again, watch how fast Vance Wilson is coming out of the chute. He just overthrew the ball. Renteria's in with the stolen base.
And it pays off for the Cardinals. The stolen base makes the difference, and they get the game's first run on a double by Rolen. So the 2-out gamble, sending Renteria to steal a base, pays off as Rolen hits the next pitch into left center field, and the Cardinals have a 1-0 lead.
In order to be a good manager, you have to be somewhat of a gambler. Tony La Russa is, and this guy's on fire. Scott Rolen just picked up a bullet double into left center field. Renteria scores easily, and the Cardinals have a 1-0 lead. But I don't think a manager can be effective if he doesn't have a gambler's mentality on the baseball field. You can't be afraid to take a chance, and Tony La Russa has been highly successful and took that chance.
So Edmonds now will be walked, and the Mets will bring up Sanders. By the way, in the Mets batting order, Vance Wilson is now hitting 4th, Danny Garcia 5th, and the pitcher's still 9th.
And Art House said it was going to be a tough decision. Wouldn't take Mike Piazza out of the ball game. He's out, and the Mets trail by 1 here in the 8th. If Mike was out of the ball game last night in the 9th inning, and again, Art said it's a tough decision. If he was out of the ball game in the 9th inning last night, Cliff Floyd doesn't hit.
That's exactly right. So Reggie Sanders to the plate. He's 0 for 3 tonight.
The right-hander, Reggie Sanders.
I always thought that 2 years ago when Mo Vaughn was the Mets cleanup hitter, and I thought the same thing. It was very difficult to have a guy hitting in the cleanup spot that you were frequently taking out of the game in the 7th and 8th innings. And because again, too often that spot winds up coming around again.
But the baseball expert will say, and Mike Piazza would agree, until he gets very comfortable at first base, there's going to be times in the game he's going to be removed.
Hit foul by Sanders.
That might end up being the toughest decision Art Howe has throughout the course of the season.
Well, you see the hanger there, the full foul. You know, obviously it's not going to be tough if the Mets have the lead.
Right.
If they have the lead, that's a no-brainer. It's when it's a tie game. That's when it's a tough one.
Or if it's a 1-run ball game and they lose the lead.
Well, sure. Moreno starting to loosen up now. Fastball in. And the inning over, but the Cardinals break the tie. Rolen, they are the best run producer in the league. Drives in his 39th. 1-0 St. Louis.
And after the game, we'll have complete post-game coverage from this game. Our President of the United States hosting his own little basketball party. And the New York Liberty kicking up nothing but smiles as they team up with the Rockettes. And Radio City Music called that for a very special announcement. Those stories and more, it's the MSG Sports Desk after the game. Now back to Shea and Ted and Fran.
Thank you, Jenna. We're back at Shea, where the Cardinals have a 1-0 lead, and Eldred continues on the mound. Wigginton for the Mets. Wigginton is hit into a double play and then doubled to deep left center. Mets have hit the 3 double plays tonight. Breaking ball hit right back to the mound, and there's 1 down.
Hey Mets fans, visit Mets.com, the #1 site for live game pitch-by-pitch coverage, MLB.tv and MLB.com game day audio. Mets.com, where Mets baseball is always on.
Steve Klein getting ready in the St. Louis bullpen, and that would likely be for any possible pinch hitters here. That would be Kareem Garcia, or if the lineup turns over to Valent. Well, the Mets are in danger of relying on ninth inning magic again for the third straight game. Looper in the Mets pen. That's a strike to McEwing. Doesn't look like it.
Well, it's a good breaking ball.
Yeah, of course, it's where it crosses the plate, not where the ball's caught.
Umpires like to have the catcher catch that ball in the strike zone. It makes them look good.
1-2 now to McEwing. McEwing is struck out, popped up. Mets have not had a runner to third base tonight. Joey, 2 strikes, chased that high breaking ball, and back to Eldred, 2 down.
Sometimes you see that breaking ball, it's upstairs, it's called the hanging breaking ball, and you feel you're supposed to clobber it, and you overswing. Right there, Joe McEwing getting on top of that ball with an overswing. Sometimes those muscles tighten up, and you don't do anything with it. Because your eyes get big, your muscles get tight. Dave Duncan, one of the better pitching coaches in all of baseball, out to talk to Eldred. Dave Duncan was catcher, and a good one.
So, talking to Eldred about Shane Spencer, who will bat for Metallico. Eddie Walling, the Mets hitting coach, watching Spencer hit tonight batting practice, was complimenting what the new Met outfielder has done, and talking about Spencer's approach being the most consistent of any of the Mets hitters. The start of spring training through now.
He hurt his back. That had an effect on him for a little while. He got some spasms in the middle of his back.
He's 1 for 6 as a pinch hitter. 333 overall. Eldred trying to wrap up a good 2-inning stint. Boy, 2 terrific fastballs. Talk about those locations.
That's all. It's all about that location. We see some great pitches located tonight.
Valent on deck. If Spencer gets on, we'll see, I would think, Steve Klein. Lefty to face Valent. House sort of tied up. If he'd used Kareem Garcia here as a pinch hitter, he would have seen Steve Klein. So at least he's getting Spencer up against a right-hander. Plays off, but not really any option. If Spencer gets on somehow, there's not much Art can do. He would have Kareem Garcia. No longer has Piazza in the game. Popped him up. Shallow right. Sanders will call it. So again, the Mets will need ninth inning heroics tonight. First, it'll be Looper to try to keep it 1-0 Cardinals. Now, Brayton Looper will work the top of the ninth and try to keep this at 1-0. And the fans are, no, actually, they're very happy with Brayton Looper. The reaction you're hearing is for the announced pinch hitting appearance of Roger Cedeno. And I say this for Roger Cedeno, and it's something we talked a lot about the last 2 years. I have never seen an athlete undergo the treatment that Cedeno received here in New York. Not at all that it wasn't warranted in terms of the reaction, but I've never seen a player endure that and be as personable with people as Cedeno. It was an amazing thing to witness, and even here the first 2 nights he's been walking around smiling, saying hi to the people he remembers around Shea.
He's always, no matter how good or how bad he was playing with the Mets, he always had that smile.
Cedeno has not played much. He pulled a hamstring in just his second game with the Cardinals and is only back a few days from his rehab. He's had 10 at-bats and 1 hit. As Tony La Russa said before the game tonight, this is really the role he envisions Cedeno in. He's not going to play a lot, barring injury. Envision him as a pinch hitter.
I don't envision him as a pinch hitter being highly successful. He has that long swing. He's not used to pinch hitting. Mets were hoping he would steal 50 to 60 bases, hit 280 to 300 when he was here.
No swing. 2-2 the count.
The thing that really hurt him was his defensive play. It was that last pitch to Cedeno. You can see not in sync at all. Poor balance. Of course, as Ted mentioned, he's been out.
Takes a ball. So full count. Will be followed by Matheny and Langford. Steve Klein is ready, and you know this could be a night where Isringhausen does not save the game. Cedeno to right field, plants it well, but Valent back on the ball, and there's one away.
Seemed that ball all of a sudden died. Now the flags aren't even blowing. See Valent going back and making that grab. I thought that ball was going to travel a lot further.
Now Matheny, who was 0 for 3. In the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have Valent, Matsui, and Floyd. Lefty switch lefty, and it may well be that Steve Klein gets the opportunity to save this game for the Cardinals. Strikes now to Matheny. Braden Loop, of course, pitching against his original organization here. This is the team that signed Looper out of Wichita State. And at one point it was thought that Braden Looper would be groomed to be a closer for the Cardinals. Right back through the middle and into center field.
So Matheny, who was batting .276 prior to that AB, lifts his average. So we were talking about his great defense, but he hits you .280. He's an all-star. That's a bullet in the center field off the bat of Mike Matheny.
So Langford will bat with 1 out. Looper actually did get into 4 games with the Cardinals at the end of the '98 season, and then was traded to Florida for Edgar Renteria. He was the key player the Marlins got. And you never forget, I've heard this time and time again, Franny, you never forget as a player your first organization. The one that signs you, never forget.
I did.
You're an Indian, come on.
I certainly was. Uh-oh, Tony La Russa.
Yeah. Some conversation going on there. Didn't appear to be heated. You could see Reggie Sanders smiling in the background. Whatever was being said.
Tony has those sunglasses on.
Want to know the count?
Gonna check with Tony tomorrow, see what type of sunglasses they are for 9:40 in the evening. He's a style master. We were talking about that before when he was a player. He could style.
Ball 1 strike now to Langford with Womack on deck. 25th full season as a major league manager. An astounding.
He's been very successful. Very successful.
I just, it amazes you that you can deal with not just the pressures and the stresses, but the daily demands in this era of baseball, managing for that many years in a row and not lose your enthusiasm.
And he and his wife have put together an animal shelter out in Northern California, which is a beautiful operation, taking in stray pets.
It's called ARF, the Animal Rescue Foundation, and they are really the founders of it. They run a huge benefit, what Russo's do in the off-season every year in the Bay Area.
He does a lot of work, and he's a huge animal lover. I'm assuming his wife is also.
So it is 2-2 to Langford. One out here in the ninth. Just over 20,000 paid here at Shea tonight. I'll tell you what was nice, and I think a symptom of really an example of what the Mets have done the last week. The Pepsi picnic area was filled tonight at about 5:15.
Yeah, it really was.
During batting practice, the 1,000 folks that were in the Pepsi picnic area were there, and they had a chance to enjoy batting practice. And Piazza hit about 6 balls up there.
And they were making a lot of noise early today. They were ready. Mike Piazza back in the Met dugout, but will not bat if you just tuned in, because he's been removed from the ball game.
Tapped. I don't know if the Mets can turn 2 here. Nope. Langford still gets down that line decently, so slowly hit ball is good for 1 out.
Look at a number of slow hit balls to the middle infielders tonight. Tough to turn that double play when a ball's hit that slow. You can get 1, and sometimes it's imprudent to try to get 2. You see Matheny with the slide. We've seen some pretty solid slides in tonight's ball game. You know, years ago, and Frank Robinson was a hard slider. In 1966, he won the Triple Crown. In 1967, he was leading the American League in all 3 glamour categories again, and I think it was May, slid into second base and hit Al Weiss. Al Weiss's knees hit him in the head. He had double vision, and he missed a lot of that season. Carl Yastrzemski went on to win the Triple Crown. Nobody's ever won the Triple Crown back-to-back, I don't believe. Better be careful with that. Ralph's downstairs watching this.
Yeah. Held away by Womack, 1-1. You have been doing this long enough now, you understand.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ever be absolute.
You know, I was about to be
Unless
absolute.
you're Bill Webb, don't ever be absolute.
Bill loves absolute, doesn't he? He's a hard worker. Gonna fix that camera.
Three for 4 tonight for Womack, and the last hit that Womack had was a painful one for the Mets. Leading off the 8th, he slapped a ground ball to third. Wigginton, who had just moved to that back to there after playing second base tonight, had to go off his glove. Womack on to lead off the inning, and that's the run that eventually scored on Rolen's double. Things shape up right now in the National League East at the end of play tonight. It looks like the Phillies are going to take over first place for the first time this year. There goes the runner with a pitch out. That perfect throw by Wilson gets it.
Well, Wilson can do it. He came out of that shoot and got that ball down to second base. Valent will lead it off.
2 straight 9th inning comebacks for the Mets, and last night they were down to the final out for Kaz Matsui at the game-tying hit.
Matsui did it with a broken bat base hit in the right field. He tied that baby up. Cameron scoring on that base hit. And then with Mike Piazza on deck, Cliff Floyd hit a rope in the right field, and that won the ball game. So a 9th inning victory come from behind for the Mets. And they're going to get the opportunity again tonight, because the tying run will step to the plate here in the 9th inning.
Another rather unheralded Japanese import, now in his 3rd year in the Cardinals chain. So Taguchi is in left field, and the veteran lefty Steve Klein, one of the busiest pitchers in baseball the last half-dozen years, and he may get a chance to finish this. Isringhausen is in the pen, but if Klein goes 1-2-3, I mean, I think he'll get a chance to go 1-2-3. It's Valent, Matsui, Floyd.
if he gives up the base hit, there's a good, well, no, Matsui switch hitter on deck.
Rolen pulls a foul now. And remember, if there's a fourth batter here in the inning for the Mets in the cleanup spot, it will be Vance Wilson. Mike Piazza was taken out for a pinch runner in the 7th.
And last night, Mike Piazza was on deck, and the Cardinals were forced to pitch to Cliff Floyd because Piazza was on deck.
Rolen now in a 2-strike hole.
Boy, if Eric Valenta's unhappy at this called strike, you can justify it because it was down. Oh boy.
Well, I don't know that he thinks much of that strike zone, but he's gone on 3 pitches.
Yeah, this one's a good pitch. The one before it was low. But Eric Valenta right there taking it, and could have been outside.
From that camera, yeah, but it's irrelevant. It's a strike and it's an out. And now Matsui. Klein faced Matsui and Floyd last night when he entered the ballgame in the 7th inning. He got Matsui on a pop-up. Steve Klein has no saves yet this year, but does have 33 in his big league career. Well, enough experience doing this that it won't phase him one bit. 1-1 to Matsui. The Mets have had 3 runners to second base in this game, nobody to third base. They had first and second with 1 out in the 2nd inning. Suppan got Wigginton to hit a double play ball, then Wigginton doubled with 1 out in the 5th. Mets could not bring him in. Center field, sending Edmonds back, but the Gold Glove center fielder takes advantage of Shea and runs it down.
Boy, he chases this ball down with confidence. Look at this. He said, I've got it all the way, and he did.
Sports Desk coming up next here on MSG. A full recap of the day and the night. The Yukons went to the White House today. It's Game 7 NBA tonight. It's Minnesota, Sacramento. Tomorrow night, Nets, Detroit. All that coming up on Sports Desk, presented by Toyota. Was the last remnant of that swing. Again, I just more convinced every time. Matsui is a much better hitter right-handed.
Yeah.
I mean, he puts a much better swing on the ball right-handed than left-handed.
And especially with the ball down.
Yeah.
Well, this guy here can hit left-handers.
Well, last night, Klein struck him out and really tied up Cliff more than most lefties we see. And that's what the Cardinals want him to do here. Cliff tonight has fouled out, walked, and grounded out. And this is just one of those, just judging off last night, tonight is one of those matchups where Cliff just doesn't look like he's got much of a chance against Klein. 2 for 14 lifetime. Must not see the ball.
Well, all he has to do is make a mistake and hit one up in the air and out.
I wouldn't imagine that Klein, it's 1 and 2. I wouldn't imagine Klein's going to throw a ball in the strike zone. 2 strikes on him now. Breaking balls out of the strike zone.
Yeah, and what you're hoping for, that's what I would do to Cliff Floyd right now, because he struggled against it. But what Cliff Floyd is hoping for is a pitch that's a mistake.
Right. He
hits a mistake and he hits it out. When you have a powerful guy at the plate, it can happen.
Oh, what did Cliff do?
He might have hyperextended that arm.
Check swing, foul ball.
Yeah, he might have hyperextended that elbow.
Well, that's the last thing the world of Mets need to see.
See how extended that elbow was? That arm, he had the total extension when he made contact and didn't make solid contact.
Right now ready, stands back in there. Mets down to their final strike. And a fly ball to left. Taguchi is under this one. And so after winning last Wednesday night 1-0, this Wednesday night the Mets fall. 1-0. And for the first time in 2 nights, we've seen Tony La Russa crack a little bit of a smile.
Yeah, Tony La Russa is usually very stoic in that dugout, but he had a smile on his face. I think it was because Floyd hit it hard enough where it caused some concern, but the ball was caught in left field. So the Cardinals come back tonight, and they beat the Mets, shut them out 1-0 here at Shea Stadium. So the rubber game is tomorrow afternoon. It's supposed to be beautiful weather here in New York. Come on out to Shea, catch the Mets and the Cards.
And we'll come back to wrap it up on MSG in a moment.
Presented by Nextel, proud sponsor of Tuesday and Wednesday Mets baseball on MSG. Call 1-866-DO-YOU-DO for the authorized representative nearest you. And brought to you in part by Jeep. Trail-rated capability only in a Jeep 4x4.
Well, this one decided by an 8th inning St. Louis run. A stolen base by Edgar Renteria, setting up Scott Rolen's game-winning double. 1-0 Cardinals as we look at our Toyota game summary.
And when you look at it, that's the final 1-0 Cardinals on top of the Mets. Steve Traxel pitched another fine ball game. Suppan also threw the ball well. Scott Rolen an RBI double in the 8th inning, and that was all she wrote. It's our Toyota game summary. It's all about stocks on the rise, Ted.
Now, this is a guy who's putting together his best year so far, his best defensive third baseman in the game, and he's now, from our understanding, at least the league leader in RBIs. Scott Rolen is 39th tonight, and that was the decisive one. His stock on the rise, brought to you by the New York Stock Exchange. We invite you to stay tuned. Sports Desk coming up next on MSG. And then on Fox Sports Net tomorrow, 1 p.m. for the Cardinals and the Mets in the series finale. And don't forget, the first Kiner's Corner of 2004 will follow tomorrow's game. Thanks to our crew, Mike Santini, Bill Webb, Jim Gallagher, and Charlie Cucciara. Now for Fran Healy and Matt Loughlin, I'm Ted Robinson. Stay tuned next for Sports Desk on MSG.